Stamps is back, listen up, this is the anthem track. This is history in the making, you're all witnessing greatness. It's better when the pressure is on us. Our backs against the wall, what we do gets stronger. And everything we earn, we deserve. It's nothing but blood, sweat, tears, and hard work on our turf. Still on top, we stay focused. Been running it for a minute now, if you ain't noticed. Cause now is our time, it's all or nothing. So pay attention, cause them boys is up to something. From the proving grounds to top 10, we won't stop, and they still mad cause we still here.
Welcome to episode 33 of the Foxborough Fellas podcast. As you can see tonight, I'm solo dolo, joined by nobody. Here to ramble about some New England Patriots for you. This is episode 33, so it's the Kevin Falk episode. Newer fans might call it the Anthony Jennings episode. Not going to tell you the agenda. We're just going to ramble tonight. First off, we're going to start off with the quarterback discussion. Drake May and Jacoby Brissett are your two quarterbacks that you're talking about for week one for the New England Patriots. I'm not in on Jacoby Brissett, and I'm in on Drake May. The reason I'm not in on Jacoby Brissett is I just don't think he's a good quarterback, and I think that Drake May can serve the purpose of running the quarterback for the New England Patriots for the first whereas in his first year. If he's not going to start week one, start in week 7. The first 6 weeks are very hard. And let Jacoby Brissett just get beat up out there. People are high on Jacoby Brissett, or maybe they're just inflating Jacoby Brissett might be the better way of saying it. I feel like they're looking at 2019 and thinking, oh yeah, he'll be just like that because that's the last time that he was good. Like legitimately the last time that he was good. Last year he played in 2 games, 23 pass attempts. In 2022, let's just bring it up. Let's just go through it. We got the time. Share my screen. All right, we got the game log up. Jacoby Brissett. I had 2019 up, his last good year. Threw for 4 touchdowns against Houston in October. Had a couple 3-touchdown games. I was noticing that looking through his stats. He doesn't have a lot of 3-touchdown games. This is pretty much the only time he's ever had a good season, 2019. And I say good season, 18 touchdowns, 6 picks. 60% completion rate on the year. Didn't get to 3,000 yards, almost got there, somewhat of a successful year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins. Decent. $2020, nothing burger. So he had his best year in 2019, and then 2020 comes out, and they don't even use him. They don't even want him. 2021, 5 touchdowns, 4 picks, used sporadically. There's a 2-touchdown, no pick game, 2-touchdown, 1 pick game, but other than that, nothing. A whole nothing burger. 2022, Jacoby Brissett, 12 touchdowns, 6 picks. Some might argue that this was a good season. I don't know. This is mid to me. 147 yards, 1 touchdown. 229, 1-1. 220, 2 touchdowns. That's not bad. It's not a bad day. A 109 rating. That's probably his best game in the first portion of the season this year. 234 a pick. 230, 1-1. 266, 1-2. 258, no touchdowns, no picks. 278, 1-0. That's a good game. That's his next best one after this. I don't know how he got a 106 rating. Maybe just because no picks. I don't know. But then gets an 89 and gets no picks here. 212. 324 games, 3 touchdowns. This is the one that I said that he had 3 touchdowns, and he hadn't had 3 touchdowns in a while. 116 rating. But generally outside of those, 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 games, just not a lot of good quarterback play. I call him a 1 touchdown, 1 pick quarterback. I mean, pretty much outside. I mean, I know it's 2-1 at the end of the day, but it just feels like most of the time he's out there giving you 1 touchdown and 1 pick and not a whole lot. And like I said, in 2023, just 23 pass attempts. Nothing really to show you that he's good or that he's bad. His one game that he threw 2 touchdowns, he only had 10 pass attempts and 124 yards. So obviously he wasn't the starting quarterback in that game. And this is only 13 pass attempts. So just kind of mopped up 2 games in December. last year. But I don't know. I'm just not high on Jacoby Brissett. If he's going to go out there and play, he's just going to get beat up for the first 6 weeks and transition it over to Drake May. If his first 6 weeks is as hard as I predict, they're looking at 1-6, maybe 2-5. Sorry, that's through the first 7 weeks. 1-4 through the can't add. Adding is very important. 1-5 through the first 6 weeks. 2-4 through the first 6 weeks. That'd be a good time to bring in Drake May, especially considering the schedule. Let's see if I can't pull up the schedule. Patriots schedule. Share my screen again. All right. Bengals, that's a loss. Seahawks, that's a loss. Jets at home on Thursday Night Football, that's a loss. I mean, Seahawks, you could potentially win that game at home. 49ers, automatic L. You could win against Miami, and you're probably going to lose against the Texans. So Miami, let's just give them the win there and give them the win against the Seahawks. That's 2-4 through the first 6 weeks. Okay, Jacoby Brissett, thank you for your time. Time to move on. Oh, I'm not even screen sharing the right thing. This is why I need someone else. Here we go. Week 7 feels a little bit easier, although you aren't in America. You're in Wembley Stadium. You're gonna have to figure out if this is the right time to play Drake May too. Do you want to have him playing overseas in his first game? So maybe you play Brissett one more week through week 7. Week 8 wouldn't be a bad time to have him come in at home against the Jets, rivalry game. So week 8 is a potential time. Week 7 is a potential time against the Tennessee Titans. That isn't a bad time. Against the Bears, that wouldn't be a bad time. A rookie quarterback matchup. Then you start to get in a little bit, like if you're not going to play him in that stretch of time between week 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it gets a little tougher to play him against the Rams, against the Dolphins in Miami, and then you get the Colts bye week. I don't know. You could play him in the Colts in the bye week, but it's tough to. I feel like if you're going to play him at the Colts game, might as well just play Brissett one more week and have him come in after the bye and play weeks 15, 16, 17, and 18. 2 tough matchups against the Bills and then a matchup against the Chargers and Herbert. But I don't know. I don't feel like looking at the schedule, the best time for me would be week 8 or week 7 if you're willing to play him overseas and just have him in that middle time. It would almost be fine not to play him the whole season. But again, Jacoby Brissett's the guy that we have to watch all season. You're just looking at another top 5 pick. I'd rather see what you have in Drake May and let him struggle through his rookie year. And even if the offensive line isn't quite ready, he doesn't have any weapons, it's like, yeah, let him work with the players he does have. Maybe he develops an uncanny rapport with one of the receivers and you know who you want to move forward with in 2025 to make a real playoff push, considering the fact that you're going to be back at the top of the draft. 2 years at the top of the draft's good enough for me, I think, because we're not a bad team. Like the Panthers, they're a bad team. The Panthers stink. They don't have something going for them that makes you go, or that gets you excited that they could turn this around really quickly. The Patriots could turn it around really quickly. I mean, division, I talk about it week after week. If we had the 18th ranked offense last year, we could potentially be in the playoffs. I know that's a little, I don't know. Is that a hot take? Maybe. I don't think we're in the playoffs this year. I don't think, next year's a maybe, but we have the defense to put us in position to win any game against any team, right? Our defense could limit any team to 10 points, right? The Chiefs, one of the best offense, the Ravens, one of the best offense. You could see our defense keeping them to 10, 14 points, 17 points, keep us in it. If our offense can just go out there and score a couple touchdowns and kick a couple field goals, give me 1 touchdown in the first, 1 field goal in the first half. So touchdown and a field goal in the first half. Give me a touchdown and field goal in the second half. You're looking at 20 points right there. That could potentially win any game with our defense. Some times our defense is going to let up 27 and you're going to lose the game scoring 20. I think you have to eat those L's if you're this team right now. What you're working towards is being able to score 28, 30 something points a game. Not a game, in a game where your defense can still hold the team to about 20 or less, 14, 10, points, somewhere in that range where you're now starting to win games. Your point differential, you're in the plus instead of in the minus. Last year was a disaster when it comes to points scored versus points allowed. It was just an absolute disaster. If you're a Patriots fan, you know way too much about that. All right, what else did I write down? Okay, a lot of people are talking about the offense. I just rambled on about the offense for about 10 minutes about Drake May and Jacoby Brissett. You got the whole wide receiver, offensive line. I feel like we've talked about that, yada, yada, yada. Maybe I'll ramble about that later, but I'd like to talk about the defense for a second. Not Matthew Judon, not Christian Barmore, not all the guys that we know are going to be good and playing for this team. The secondary is something I'd like to focus on, and we can include the safeties in this conversation, and I'll get to Duggars and Peppers in the top 10 list eventually. But I'd like to talk about the secondary. We're just not talking about the New England Patriots secondary. This is a passing league, and we have Christian Gonzalez coming back, our best cornerback. I watched him the first 4 weeks. You did too. He was matched up against some really tough competition. He took on, I wrote about it in my article, the top 10 Patriots. Christian Gonzalez made the list. He was like 7th, I think, on my list, if I can recall. But the reason that he was 7th on my list was we just haven't seen him. We don't know anything about, not anything. We only know 3 weeks about him. We don't know enough about him to rank him higher on this list. Christian Gonzalez is only this far down because we've only seen him play in 4 NFL games. I led off the paragraph. In these games, he had a solid performance in man coverage against some talented wide receivers, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Tyreek Hill, Garrett Wilson. This year, he's wearing 0, so Agent 0. Even got to Jalen Hurts in the backfield, earned an 80.8 PFF rating in the 4 weeks that he did play. Add him back, add Judon back. The defense is only adding pieces when you look at it and from that perspective. Christian Gonzalez, I think, is going to be a playmaker on this defense. All right, so now that we've covered Christian Gonzalez, who else do you have? Jonathan Jones, Alex Austin, Marcus Jones. Those are some good names, but you don't really have a lot of depth there. I don't know if those are your 4 guys, right? You have Sean Wade, and then you've drafted Marcellus Dial. Isaiah Bolden was hurt all last year, which was his rookie year, so you don't know anything about him. But there could be a player there. I don't know if you have enough at the cornerback position. I wonder if outside of Christian Gonzalez, they could get chewed up. Jonathan Jones is a good cornerback. Alex Austin, Marcus Jones. Like I said, I don't know. These names just aren't jumping off the list at me as extremely talented players. Let's see what PFF says. Jonathan Jones. Last year, 2023, 76.5. That's a good, a decent rating. Coverage, 75.1. He's your cornerback too. I think Christian Gonzalez and Jonathan Jones could make a good pairing. But again, one of those guys goes down. Let's just say Gonzalez goes down again. He was hurt last year for basically the entire season. Jonathan Jones is your cornerback 1. And then who steps up to cornerback 2? And even in the situation where both Jones and Gonzalez are healthy, who's your cornerback 3, and do you trust them in your slot against some perennial all-stars? Alex Austin is your other cornerback. Not a great rating last year, 63.5 in coverage, 62 overall. And Marcus Jones, I mean, I really like him as your punt returner, kick returner, which is interesting because the kick return game just got a whole lot more important, but a 64 overall rating and a 61 coverage rating. You're pretty weak after Jonathan Jones and Christian Gonzalez. You don't have a whole lot going on. I know that Sean Wade got a lot of run. Let's see what he rated on PFF last year. Sean Wade, 62.2, 59 in coverage, was better in run defense, 73 rating. Yeah, so I mean, you just don't have a lot in the secondary. A lot of people are talking about Gilmore, Stephon Gilmore coming back to the Patriots. I'd be fine with that, but I don't know why the heck he would ever do it. Just seems like something we talk about and something that he's not even probably talking about. The Patriots probably aren't even talking about. One of those like Madden signings where you just, I guess if you offered him a bag, he would come here, but why are you going to offer him a bag? Doesn't make any sense. And then you're pushing down other people on your depth chart that potentially you could get a chance to see. I'd rather get a chance to see 2 or 3 guys and have them all suck, but at least you've sussed that out that they suck and you can move on from them, than playing Stephon Gilmore and getting good play out of your cornerback 2 position. I'd rather see some fresh faces and see what you got and maybe hit on someone than take another year with Stephon Gilmore. That's what rebuild teams need to do. They need to bring people in and see what they have and move on from them if they don't have them, which is why I'd like to see Drake May, which is why I tweeted out I wouldn't be mad if Wallace started at left tackle and Robinson started at right guard, because at least you get to see what you have in your rookies. And I didn't really hope Wallace plays left tackle. I hope he's not playing right tackle and Onwenu's bumping into right guard and Sal's playing left guard and you have a core for it. I just don't want him as my left tackle. I wouldn't be too mad if they, started off that way. It didn't work and then they transitioned. I'm okay with veterans getting the nod week 1 and then them moving off that, really showing the rookies you need to earn your spot. You don't just get it given to you. Although there's something to be said for just playing the rookies right away and being like, yeah, it's given to you because we think you're the guy. If you don't hold the position, we'll give it back to Chucks and you'll lose the position and you'll realize you're not the guy. And then we will think about drafting a new, you'll just be in the run of the mill. You'll be another person on our team that we don't, no one's talking about anymore. You're only getting talked about because you're, a rookie this year. Everyone's focused on you, but you could just be in the mix. You could be a Mafi, who knows? Just in the mix. But we were talking about cornerback, secondary play. And Duggar got rated 8th on the ESPN top safeties list. 10? How the heck is he rated 10? Is all I thought when I saw that. Like, Peppers is better than him, right? How could he be rated 8th and Peppers not make the list? Because Peppers is better, in my opinion, like a lot better. And I was like, am I crazy? Am I the only one who thinks this? And so I went to PFF and compared them. And it's wild. Duggar got a 61.7 rating last year, 50 in coverage because he was ass in coverage. Everyone knows he's ass in coverage if you watch it. It's his run defense. It's almost like he's a good linebacker and not a good safety. My co-host Davish calls him a good ball hawk, and I'll give him credit. He does like to track the ball down once he sees it, but often he's running with the wide receiver, like his jersey's to the back. He's looking over his shoulder because he's chasing people down. He's just not able to stay with people. Excuse me. I'd like to see him at the linebacker position. Same thing with Mapu. Talking about safety, Mapu should be a linebacker too. It's almost like we have a lot of duplications. Peppers is a good run support safety. His run defense got a 90.7 rating last year. Overall, he was an 87.3. His pass rush was a 54, and his coverage was an 83. So basically, Peppers' role, and as a safety, I don't think pass rush is something that we're all that concerned with. It's like a gadget safety blitz. If you're calling us it, you're not expecting him to put pressure on the quarterback. So with that being said, 83 in coverage and a 90 in run defense out of your safeties is, I think, elite. He's an elite safety. If I had to pick Duggar or Peppers, I'd pick Peppers all day long, especially considering their age is pretty close. Duggar was a good safety last year. Don't get me wrong. He wasn't better than Peppers, and I don't see how he was ranked higher than him. I think like the contract, maybe the fact that he was a second-round pick out of a nobody school, so it's like he's overdone expectations. I feel like maybe Peppers needs to tweet more. I don't know what it is. I really can't, because it's not like I see Duggar tweeting or being a personality, but man, Peppers is just better than Duggar. And I'm not a huge fan of the Duggar contract, although retain your talent, and maybe you have to overpay to retain your talent in a rebuild, but I want to lean on Peppers and not so all in on Duggar. All right, let me take a sip of my drink. All right, next. Keon White's breakout year. 2023 second round pick. Gerard Mayo asked if there was a player that surprised him. Keon White's the guy he named. Keon is the kind of player that's taking a step forward as a leader. And Davish talked about this when we hopped on the Locked On Patriots podcast with Mike Debate. Not exactly like a rah-rah leader, and that's exactly what Mayo said. Not as much vocally, but you can see him actually leading groups and working well, Mayo said. And that's exactly what Davish said. Former Georgia Tech alumni, both of them, Keon White and Davish. And he would walk up to a player that might maybe made a technical mistake and would, be hands-on, kind of like almost coaching them through the scenario. It's almost like they have a coach in Keon White. That's great to see out of a second-year player, especially when you're looking for them to take a step forward. If he's coaching the other players, that means the other players know he's good and respect him. So we should too. That's my take there on Keon White. Played 45% of the snaps. You're going to see a lot more snaps coming up this year, especially considering, well, maybe not related to the snaps, but you're going to see a lot more of Keon White maybe in the backfield, especially considering defenses are going to be focusing on Judon. Secondly, they're going to be focusing on Barmore. And then likely they're going to be focusing third, Uche, somebody else. And that leaves Keon White to be the last thing that they think about. That might stink for their offensive line, making Keon White the last thing that you think about. He's physical. He's powerful. He has a high ceiling on an NFL front seven. I think that he's going to improve on his rookie numbers just based on the fact that, like I said, he got 45% of the snaps. You're going to see more snaps this year, more attention focused on other places this year now that Barmore is broken out. And then Godshaw, who knows if he's going to be here or not. If he's not here, that kind of opens up some space on the line. I know Godshaw plays tackle and Keon might be edge. And Mike even talked about him stepping out maybe an outside linebacker role or maybe having his hands down and popping back into coverage. But I feel like this is the year of Keon White. It also kind of leads me into my Matthew Judon take. Matthew Judon wants a new contract, and it feels like everyone's got a new contract on this Patriots defense besides Matthew Judon. And Matthew Judon, if you read my article, is my number one ranked Patriot on this year's team. I think he's the best player. He's a sack machine. He gets a sack a game, essentially, when you look at his Patriots numbers. That's ridiculous. No one else is even coming close to those types of numbers. So I feel like Judon would be someone that they would want to re-sign. Why haven't they done it? He's 31, going to be 32 in August. He'll be 33 going into his next contract. He's coming off a season-ending bicep injury. There are your reasons right there. They're more thinking on Judon, go out there and show me. If you go out there and show me, we'll re-sign you or we'll trade you. I feel like that's honestly where they think right now, right? We can get a return on our investment in Judon. We see Keon White coming up the pipeline. If not, we have Barmore and Uche. Uche signed for a year. We can always extend him. He likes to be here. That's evident by the contract that he took. He's kind of banking on himself, Uche saying, hey, I'm going to go out there and ball. So, when I sign my 4-year contract, I want it to be at a high per year rate. The rate that I would get after last year is just not good. He didn't have an impressive year, but I think has the talent to have an impressive year in 2024 and really bounce back. Talked about Mapu. This is training camp takes. Mapu should be a linebacker. I'd like to see him in training camp play linebacker and in preseason play linebacker. I don't think he could be a safety. Unfortunately, I think the Patriots see him as a safety just because they don't really have a whole lot of safeties on their team, and you really can't call Schooler a safety. He's the new Slater, right? He's going to be your one special team player unless Cardona is still on this team. Geez, I really can't stand the fact that we hold special teamers have a whole roster spot and all they do is snap or just run down the field on a kick return. Although this year, second time I've said it, this year kick return's different. So we might actually value that position differently. It might be like, oh, Belichick knew it all along. You got to have a special teamer. Well, they changed the rules, so it might be more important this year than ever to have a special teamer. Layden Robinson could win the right guard starting role. I really feel like when they drafted Layden Robinson and I looked him up, he's a powerful beast. And I was like, man, he's got the strength. And any rookie really needs to come into their position, right? They need to grow and learn and become an NFL player. That will be true for every single rookie that we drafted this year. So there'll be development things. And sometimes there's development issues where you want them to sit in the background and grow and learn until they're ready. And sometimes their skill set's kind of raw, but they can learn on the fly. And I feel like Layden Robinson is so strong and has such a stiff punch that he could go out there and just keep using that tool and kind of hang in there and learn the other stuff as he goes. Whereas maybe a more skill or technician type person would want some more time to kind of grow into their position. Maybe Caden Wallace needs more time if he's going to switch from right to left tackle. I know he played left side in high school. I know he only played the right side because Fashanu was on the left side and was a better tackle than him. Quite clearly, he went to the top of the draft. But I don't think Wallace is going to have as a hard time going over to the left side or is as locked into the right side as everyone's locking him in. Layden Robinson, I think mediocre right guard at the end of his career, but could plug right in right away. So I would like to see him get some tread just to see if we're right or wrong on the Layden Robinson deal out there. I wouldn't mind if it was Wallace left tackle, Sal left guard, Andrew center, Robinson right guard, and Onwenu right tackle. That would be a good offensive line for me. My top 10, New England Patriots of 2024 season is how I'm going to end this off. I wrote an article on it. Go out there, comment. Let me know what your top 10 is. Number 1's Matthew Judon. I already kind of talked about him. He's a sack-a-guy player. He's just the best player on this team. And then it comes into my conversation about the safeties. I think Peppers a better safety than Duggar. Duggar doesn't make the list, and Peppers is my number 2 player on the Patriots. Barmore is my number 3 player. He just showed me so much last year, 8.5 sacks, and 5.5 of those sacks coming in the final 7 weeks. He did this in the absence of Judon when defenses were focused on him and knew he was doing it. So I'm very excited to see when defenses have to focus on Judon and he can kind of cook a little bit more. We didn't talk about any offense in the top 3 so far. We're going to go to Hunter Henry for number 4. Hunter Henry is my way too early pick for Offensive Player of the Year. I just think man coverage, Hunter Henry with a decent quarterback, you're going to see an improvement over last year. He had 5 tutties last year on 9 attempts in the end zone, in the red zone. Passing attempts thrown to him in the red zone. He got 5 touchdowns. So look for that number to go up. If you get him 20 targets this year in the red zone as opposed to 9 last year, does he double his 5 and turn it into 10 touchdowns? The Viz had some crazy number. It was like 3.5 was like the line on his touchdowns, or 4.5. It was small. I think it was 4.5, right? It was a small number. So if you can find that line, go out there and hammer that over because Hunter Henry should be hitting the over on that one. Stevenson's my number 5 player on the New England Patriots. This was the Viz and Mike's pick for Offensive Player in the Year. I went with Henry. They went with Stevenson. I have Stevenson ranked 1 behind Henry. I think that Stevenson's a great pick. He is quite clearly, the running back position allows for it more than the tight end position, but he's quite clearly like the driving force behind the offense. You're handing the ball off to him and he's running it. You're passing it to him. You're play actioning. Everything's kind of off of the running back and what I anticipate the AVP offensive system. But even watching him in years past, you could tell it kind of ran through Stevenson and he was your most talented player. Gibson's on the team, so he might take some third down passing attempts away from Stevenson, but I think Stevenson's going to cook this year, just like he has in past years. Number 6 ranked player, Demario Douglas, Pop Shada. Showed us a lot his rookie year, one of the best rookie years the Patriots wide receivers ever had. And I anticipate that he continues to either repeats or increases what he did last year. And if he could do either, that would be, great in my opinion. He had 49 receptions last year for 561 yards, which led the team, and it shouldn't lead any team. 561 yards, mediocre, in my opinion. But he was a rookie, right? He did fumble 3 times and lost once. I'd like him to hold on to the ball, work on some of those rookie things. He had 8 carries, which was interesting, 5 yards a carry. So maybe we see him more in that like jet sweep or throw him in the backfield type role. See what else we can do with him now that he's more comfortable playing in the NFL. Should be fun to watch. I mentioned Christian Gonzalez being down on the list earlier when I was talking secondary. Like I said, it's only because we've only seen him play in less than 4 games. Let's see if he can improve exactly what he did the first 4 weeks for an entire season. He's going to be number 2 on this list in no time. David Andrews is my number 8 player. Crucial part of the offensive line, which we identify as the biggest weakness of this team right now, maybe outside of the quarterback current play, or what we've experienced in the past out of the quarterback play. He's the centerpiece. And that's not a pun on him being a center, but he's literally the centerpiece of the offensive line. He's the leader. He's the guy who hikes the ball. He's the captain, and he's the guy who might put Wallace and Robinson and some of the other younger guys, because they drafted 3 offensive linemen last year too. These 5 young offensive linemen under his wing and kind of show him the way. He's here next year too. So it's not like this is it. This is his last year. Get get all your Andrews in right now. No, you got them next year too. So David Andrews is my pick, my 8th pick. 9th is Tavai. Amazing 2023. I mean, what did he have? Like 110, I think, total tackles. The guy was all over the place making tackles. And that's with Bentley also being in the middle with linebacker with him. 2 strong middle linebackers. Bentley was a consideration for this list too. He's on my bubble. But Tavai got the nod as the 9th ranked player on the New England Patriots. And I just think he could take a step forward. It's funny. I wrote this article, had it all ready to go, drafted, was going to post it. And then he got a contract extension, had to go back and edit it. But I'm glad he got the contract extension because the Patriots kind of gave him the same nod that I'm giving him. I think he's a top 10 player on this team. 10th was a real tough pick. 10th, I was going to go Duggar. I was going to go on Wenu. Like I said, Bentley was on the bubble. I didn't put any rookies on here because I didn't know what to expect out of him, although Drake May made my bubble because I just think he's that good. None of those players that I listed made it. The player that I had as 10th was Kendrick Bourne. Veteran experience. I think he's in his eighth year with us. Potentially the best wideout on this team, and he really shouldn't be. He should be our second best or third best wideout on any good team. But he's on this team where we have a whole bunch of players just as good as Kendrick Bourne. Or maybe just below him, KJ Osborne. We have the 2 rookies we drafted in Baker and Polk. Who knows if Juju's making the team? He's kind of in that mix of decent. Douglas last year, kind of the same numbers that Bourne has put up his whole career. A whole bunch of wide receiver 2s, really. No deep threat, no X player. So we'll see what we get when we get Kendrick Bourne back on the field. He's probably going to start on the PUP list, which would make sense. It would free up a position on the wide receiver depth chart to keep a Juju, to keep another player like Booty, to see what you have so that you can trade them, cut them, or make the right decision so that when Bourne comes back, you can move on from the player that doesn't deserve to be here. I think him being on PUP is kind of a good thing. You don't have to move on from a player that you shouldn't move on from, especially in a year where it means nothing. It doesn't matter if you win or lose this year. It might be better if you lose. You get a better draft pick. But I'm not here for tanking. I'd rather see them try to go out there and win and scrap together a few wins, teach the team how to fight to win. No team that's in a rebuild should be trying to lose so they can get draft picks, because then how are they going to turn that switch back to winning? I don't agree with that. If the game's on the line, like when Chad Ryland made that game-winning kick, I'm like, geez, go for it or something. Like, you can make a decision that makes you lose, but they're going to try on that decision. So, like, if you're going to not kick the field goal and you're going to go for it on 4th down, let's say if that was the decision, like, the team might make it on 4th down and end up scoring a touchdown anyway. Like, they might still do good on that decision, but the decision kind of hinders the team. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but you could just make some decisions that kind of set yourself up to be difficult to overcome. That would be a better way to tank than just flat out not trying. So I never would suspect the Patriots would not try their hardest, especially for rookie coach Gerard Mayo, which will be interesting to watch his storyline arc over the season. Vibes are high right now. We have a vibe chart at Foxborough Fellows. Vibes are high right now. Everyone's loving, everyone's digging the draft picks. Everyone thinks everything's great. Until Caden Wallace starts at left tackle and gets blown by every single week, and Robinson doesn't even play, and Baker, who you think's your X, is slow, and Polk can't beat anybody in man coverage and is only effective in zone. Like, these all could be truths, right? Jacoby Brissett could be Jacoby Brissett and throw for 200 yards a game, 1 pick, 1 touchdown, and be mid. And then you bring in Drake May, he's not ready yet. All that could happen. It just seems like everything would have to go wrong for that to happen. And some of these things have to go right for the New England Patriots. And I hope they do, because huge Patriots fan, huge Patriots follower. So we all want them to have success and strive towards a playoff run, because I don't think we're used to this losing experience that the New England Patriots have been on. But those are my quick thoughts. Those are my we didn't get to any scary places in my brain, so that was good. I was worried about where my brain might take us, but I rambled for 35 minutes. I didn't know I could do that. Appreciate anyone who tuned in, and go Patriots starting forever.